Hey, Alex from SeemsGoodMagic.com here. I'm here today to show you a standard constructed deck that I've created online. I figured you guys were sick of the Innistrad block drafts that Randy and I have been relentlessly doing these last couple months. So we're all eagerly awaiting Avacyn Restored to come online, but I think there's a couple weeks left before that happens. So instead, I'm going to pilot this through a two-man. And it's a pretty stock token list, black-white. I decided not to go with Sorin for a couple reasons. First of all, he's 20 plus tickets online. I just didn't feel like that was worth it. And also, this token list in particular doesn't get as much value from him because it runs 8 Crusade effects, 4 of the honors and 4 of the intangible virtues. I mean, he'd still be a welcome addition in this deck, but he's not necessary. So this list is pretty much a mashup of blue-white humans and black-white tokens. The blue-white humans contribution would be the Gideon's Law Keepers, the Fiend Hunters, and the Leonin Relic Warders. And obviously the black-white tokens is the Gathers and the Lingering Souls and the Midnight Hauntings. So it's just got a bunch of Crusade effects and then a bunch of dudes to kill your opponent with. It's got some catch-alls. It's got like the Oblivion Rings, and actually Leonin Relic Order is really important right now for Sword of War and Peace, since that can resolve on turn 2. Sometimes it's pretty important to have that instead of a turn 3 Oblivion Ring. Turn 3 Oblivion Ring can be too late. So Relic Order is pretty important. I mean, it also destroys, or at least resets, the Shrine of Burning Rage in some instances, and I don't know, there's just a ton of stuff that it hits. It hits like Sphere of the Suns early against Wolf Run, so it stops their like turn 3 Huntmaster. Just really versatile. I like Leonin Relic Order a lot. It also takes out your opposing, in the mirror match, takes out opposing intangible virtues, so that can give you some strength too. Sideboard, timely for aggro decks, very important. Oblivion Ring, just catch all, more of them against control. Another Leonin Relic Order. Face Shield in the aggro matches, probably bring it in. Can be pretty important. Evil Presence is sort of the one that I'm experimenting with. I don't like Ghost Quarter very much. I don't really like Evil Presence that much either, but there's just sort of a lack of good cards that deal with the good lands that are in standard environment right now. I mean, Kessig Wolf Run, Gavany Township, Inkmoth, Moorland Haunt, Vault of the Archangel, just a ton of stuff that's annoying to play against, and Evil Presence sort of takes care of that. In like the 3 and 4 color decks too, it can really like keep them off a color sometimes. So I don't know, Evil Presence, giving it a try. Now Spellbomb, good against Reanimator decks and other decks that get a lot of value out of their graveyard, and another go for the throw on the side. We're running the 1 of Vault of the Archangel, 20 lands, so only 1 swamp, and then 4 Evolving Wilds for Isolated Chapel. So 9 access to black sources, and then all of this planes, whatever. So this is what the deck is. This is what I'm going to be piloting. Yeah, so let's go to the 2-man, and you will see how it plays. Okay, so we're in our 2-man, and this is definitely a keepable hand. This is exactly what this deck wants to do. And another nice thing about this deck that I didn't mention is you can keep kind of sketchy hands with it, because it pretty much just needs to get to 2 mana, and it can do tons of things. So this is a deck that can keep 1 land hands on the draw fairly consistently, I would say, without losing too much pace at all. So that's sort of a nice thing. So far, green-white, so probably some sort of pod list. Okay, definitely following this up with a gather. Nice draw on that, because now we have an out to the pod that he's inevitably dropping next turn. So we'll get in for 1. Drop our, not our honor, our gather. So we get some more creatures on the board. So if he drops pod, we'll just Relic Order it right away. If he, well, he's blue now too, so trying to think of all the lists that would do that. Oblivion Ring or Lawkeeper. I was kind of curious. Alright. Not blocking. Take another 2. He's got 3 cards left in his hand. It's good to know. Okay, so now the question is, do we drop our Virtue or Honor now, or another Gather? I think I'm going to do the other Gather. So we'll attack for 2. So next turn, if we get a land, we'll be able to double pump our army here, and I think that's better for us overall. Alright, so it is a pod deck. Definitely relic warding that away. Land off the top would be ideal. Did not get it. I don't even want him. I want him to deal with my relic order. So get rid of that pod. Get in. He had his second Oblivion Ring, which is a little bit of a problem, but so the Relic Order kind of time warped him a little bit. Time walked him, I mean. Unless he's got another land, in which case we did not time walk him. But land off the top, we just can't get that land, can we? So now if we go for the throat this thing, he'll be forced to play a creature in order to pod. I almost just conceded there. That was crazy. I think I'd rather do that. Well, no, that's not true. I'd rather pump now, I think. So we'll Virtue now. Get in for 6. Alright, so he takes 4. Alright, and we pass the turn. So usually these pod lists are a little bit hard to know all the tech they run. I mean, it could be just like a completely stock one, but they usually top out at Elish Norn, and then they I want to play Lingering Souls here, because then if he well, I don't think pod lists main deck Day of Judgment, so we'll just get in for 4 and drop our Lingering Souls. But I don't remember pod lists really running blue, so I'm a little bit confused exactly. Alright, he just conceded. So pod list, he's got to have some ratchet bombs out of sight, I'm assuming, but let's focus on what we want to do to him. So we'll sort by converted mana cost here. We definitely want another Relic Order, and we definitely want these Oblivion Rings. They're going to be very important. Timely is something we could consider, but I don't think we want to do that. So I think we could lose the Go for the Throats, but I think I'm actually going to lose a couple of these Law Keepers. They're okay, but I don't know. I don't think that they're going to be, because I don't think they're going to be necessary. I think I'd rather just deal with his pod in 8 different ways, and then deal with potential creatures that he pods out with Go for the Throat. I'll cut one Go for the Throat, and I'll cut a couple Lock Keepers. And I think this will be better. And yeah, all right. So we'll try this out. I don't think I'm gonna need the Timely, but we'll see. We'll see after this next game here. Alright, this is definitely a keepable hand. Our opponent mulliganed. Okay. Fiend Hunter, really good in this match, I think. Nice way to deal with Strangle Rootgeist at the very least. Also deals with Elishnorn, late game. Mortar Pod. Alright. It's an interesting one. Okay, so the plan is we drop the Intangible Virtue, because Gather the Townsfolk actually doesn't do anything against Mortar Pod. It just would allow him to block and kill one, so why don't we just get our guys out of range now. I can do Midnight Haunting at the end of his next turn, and then I can follow it up with Gather or Fiend Hunter or Oblivion Ring as necessary. If he drops Pod here, I'll definitely just Oblivion Ring it away. Just not even deal with that. Or I could choose to just Midnight Haunting race him instead, which isn't too bad. So, I mean, we've got some options here. Got answers to threats and our own threats, so, and the Crusade effect. Okay, he deliberated and decided that he did not want to attack with his 0-1. I applaud that decision-making skill. Alright. So now we're just going to pass the turn. And we're going to Midnight Haunting at the end of his turn, followed up with Gather plus Intangible Virtue and attack for a bunch. Now we'll definitely let him have his pod if that's what he's doing. Solemn, not concerned about that. Evil Presence was something that I should have actually considered out of side, because we could keep him off his colors, I think, fairly consistently. Alright, so we're going to Midnight Haunting and Intangible Virtue Gather is the plan right now, which is a pretty good plan, I would say. It's going to put us at a pretty good advantage here. Alright, so we'll play our Virtue first. Get in for 6. Gather. So Ratchet Bomb would be a pretty big deal here. Okay, opponent is going to Oblivion Ring a Virtue, presumably, yes. Alright. Alright, so now we can Oblivion Ring his Oblivion Ring, get our Virtue back, and swing for 12. Which will let him draw a card. Other options are Fiend Huntering the Solemn, swing for 8, which is okay. Also gets rid of a substantial pod target. May want to do that instead. Just deal with that Solemn. And we have Gather. Yeah, actually I like that better, I think. Unless he's got Day. And also if he deals with my Fiend Hunter, he would get his Solemn back. What's the best options we got here? I might want to play around Ratchet Bomb and Day of Judgment as well. Alright, I think I'm actually going to Oblivion Ring. His Oblivion Ring. Get my Virtue back. So then we can swing for 12. He's going to block with his Solemn, probably blow up with Mortar Pod. So he's going to block both of our ground guys. Alright, and then he's going to sack the Germ and kill one of our humans. But then he's taking 6. He'll draw from the Solemn, but he doesn't have a pod target now. And I'm not going to follow up with the Gather. I got to play around the Ratchet Bomb. And the Day of Judgment. Did not play around the Fiend Hunter, but that's okay. Alright, so he's going to equip with Mortar Pod. Yeah. Not a huge deal. Alright, so now I just Fiend Hunter his Fiend Hunter. Don't think he's going to blow up in response. Because he'd rather get it back, I would assume. Alright, well, he just conceded and we got the match. So, there's tokens for you in a vacuum. This is definitely, I would say, a budget token list, but the nice thing about Lingering Souls, it heavily affected the standard environment, if you didn't already know. I mean, Lingering Souls is, without a doubt, the strongest card to come out of Dark Ascension, and what it allows, the nice thing that it allows people to do is, it allows someone coming into Magic or just entering a competitive environment to sort of make like a cheap deck that can easily get there. So, I mean, in real life, you could build like a Lingering Souls, this build in particular, for probably like $40, and most of it would be the Isolated Chapels, maybe $50, but yeah, so that's the deck for you. I hope you enjoyed it. If you enjoy these little two-man matches, let me know. I'd be happy to do more of these. I'll see you guys next time.